opportunity to be here, and to all of you for coming today. I'm not going to reiterate everything I said just now. Some of you may have been in that audience, and I spoke of the threat posed by climate change as what you could call a force multiplier, something interacting with the burden of pressures that we've already faced on our planet. I was going to say the pleasure to visit Lancet-Urmia. It was a pleasure. It was very beautiful, but also really distressing and terrifying to see such an awful thing happening to such a beautiful region. And my understanding is that this afternoon is about trying to find solutions. It's all too easy for us to stand back and feel that we can do nothing, or to feel paralysed by fear. That's not the right response. Everyone in this audience today must be working to find a solution, and that's what it's about. What I would say from my experience of 54 years of life is that we shouldn't trust the experts to find the solutions. What we've learned more and more over life is that the solutions to complex problems often come from people who have a fresh view. So I'm hoping this afternoon that all of you will interact very strongly with the panel. Whenever any one person speaks, you challenge them, question them, say, why do you think you're right? Could you be wrong? And bring your own suggestions to the table. Because if there is going to be a solution, it is likely to come from you as it is to come from anyone speaking here this afternoon. So I'm going to stop talking now and back to our chair and let others give their talks. But what I really encourage you to do is not make this a series of lectures. Please make sure that it's an interactive discussion, that you put your views forward and give your suggestions to solutions this afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Hugh. I think it's better anybody in the chair just start speaking and let's use your expertise and also the experiences relevant to the Urmia Lake. Everybody who is just here as a member of the channel, member of our panel, I'm sorry. And it will be very useful for us to listen to everybody. And first of all, I think the members just introduce themselves first of all and then start their speeches. Thanks very much.
Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Feridoon Owfi from Iranian Fisheries Research Organization, and my specialist activities is about marine fisheries with emphasis on marine coastal ecosystems. But please let me know I would like to inform you about one of my documentary history which I will observe today in the Urmia Lake, which we have visited a very short program today. Because if I have explained for you about marine systems such as the coral reefs, mangrove forests, and other geomorphological formation in the coastal waters, is so far from the Urmia Lake. Because it should be necessary for go to the south of Iran or north of Iran very fast. And please let me know if I would like to show you this slide before. Today we have a very short visiting Urmia Lake and stopping near the roads in the highway, in the middle part of near the village, middle part of the village between the Tabriz and Urmia highways. We saw many samples of the birds, not seabirds. It's a very common birds. It's a very small colony, and we observed many types and many different sizes. This is a type of insect eaters and also some seed eaters of the bird. What do you think about these samples? It's not fossil samples. It's not the collected samples. What do you think? Very fast. You have any additional comments? Yeah. What's the problem for these samples? Yeah. very rare. It's very clear that it's the dead birds. But what's happened for these samples? Do you know? Okay, I explain for you very fast because the time is very so limited. It seems it's my scenario, it's my hypothesis for this phenomenon. Actually, in this season, we are end of the season for migratory in the passage, in the natural passage around the Siberian area, which some of the colony move from the Caspian Sea and go to the pass from the Iranian central parts and go to the southern part near the marine coastal ecosystem, some island and side islets for a stop station. From the ecological point of view and from some behavioral patterns for migratory of seabirds and in general in birds, they selected some stations, some sites for resting, for feeding, or sometimes for wintering. It depends on the type of the species, the type of the groups. But it seems that we are in the end of the season for migratory, because the migratory season finished in this season. Unfortunately, they reached here very late. They were very, very tired. They were very, very hungry and thirsty, without any energy, without any power for continue from Urmia Lake to central parts, such as some wetlands and some salt marsh, which located in the central part of the Saman provinces or Iraq, or near the Salt Lake in the home area. After that, we will continue, they will be continue to the Phosphorosis, and finally, the final destination is Persian Gulf, and maybe sometimes go to the Saudi Arabia Peninsula. Unfortunately, they were very, very tired, stopped there, and very thirsty, went to the near the salt, or hypersaline waters, and feeding by some insects. Also, we saw some samples of insect ladybirds. It was very nice. After that, they were very, very active for all of the salt samples are crystallized, and will be so heavy for continue the flying of for continue the migratory in the life cycle. Unfortunately, many times I counted about 28 samples. Maybe if we can go there, maybe it's a comment for you. We will go there for checking for the station for sample, transfer to the laboratory for checking with the veterinary laboratory or biological veterinary if you have in the university. I'm sure you have, and you can publish a very short case study. It's very nice samples for scientific problem, for finding what we have done for climate change. Is effect of maybe half of the problem is goes back to the climate change, because some of these problems go back to the unfortunately mismanagement systems. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. My name is Maziar, Moradi. I'm a community medicine specialist, and I'm going to look at this issue from the point of view of a physician. Climate change and the catastrophe that we are watching in the Urmia Lake doesn't affect only birds, human, or the other subjects of this change. And we have reported several papers and several reports on burden of disease in Iran, and we know that the pattern of disease will be affected by different elements in climate change. For example, as Professor Montgomery told in his speech, different types of floods, heat waves, and allergens and other elements of climate change will affect different diseases. Now, the pattern of affection of disease are different, and the main components of disease that we expect to be affected by climate change are cardiovascular disease, respiratory diseases, some of the cancers, injuries, and many of the vector-borne disease. So by being informed of the type of changes that we are watching in an area, we can predict the changes in human health in the next year. I think we need to be connected with each other, the health sector and other specialties such as activities in geography, environmental, and other disciplines to be able to predict these changes and be prepared for anything, and also we should work with each other to prevent the impact of climate change on human health.
Hello. Well, my name is Dr. Nick Watts. I am Australian. If you can't understand my accent, I'm very sorry, but it's been with me for a number of years, and I've tried very hard, and I can't change it, so I apologize. I will only talk for a few minutes. I thought I would pick up where Hugh left off. Hugh talked about the immense, the terrifying impacts of climate change on human health and well-being. Impacts that I think as physicians, Hugh, myself, colleagues, experience today, are seeing today all around the world. But there is another side to the story. On the one hand, there are these immense threats that climate change brings. On the other hand, many of the responses to climate change turn out to just be very sensible public health interventions in their own right. They are cost-effective, sensible things that we should be doing anyway. And that is the key message of the work that Hugh, myself, and the Lancet Countdown is working on, is identifying and talking to engineers, talking to geographers, talking to urban planners, economists, and looking at the things that they would recommend we do to respond to climate change. And when we look at them, it turns out that they're just a good idea if you care for your patient's health. So, some examples. We know that 7 million people every year around the world die from air pollution. 3.7 million from outdoor air pollution and 4.3 million from indoor air pollution, with some overlap in between. You may have some slightly different numbers for the GPD, but these are WHO figures. Now, the source of that air pollution, outdoor, the 3.7 million, is principally from two things. It's from energy production, from electricity generation, and it's from road transport, from cars. Now, what we know as well is that together, those two sectors represent 61% of global carbon dioxide emissions. So interventions that transition away from coal, away from oil, away from gas as a source of energy towards renewable energy, not only reduce emissions and avoid all of the dangerous impacts that Hugh mentioned, but they also decrease the burden of outdoor air pollution on health. And the principal health impact of that we see cerebrovascular accidents, stroke, and heart attack, and chronic lung disease. When you shut down a coal-fired power plant, they shut in Poland, in southern Poland, 3 months ago, they shut down one of their largest coal-fired power plants. The emergency department in the hospital right next to that power plant noticed a 56% reduction in admissions for exacerbations of COPD and asthma, for different lung diseases, only 6 weeks later. These benefits are immediate, and as it turns out, they save a lot of money. You don't have to, the money you invest in closing down that coal-fired power plant, you get a healthier workforce, and you have to spend less money to These are just sensible, cost-effective interventions. And that's the key message of the work that we're doing with the Lancet. We are identifying these opportunities all the way around the world and tracking them every single year. Because we want to prove that there is no decision to be made between protecting public health and responding to the crisis that you have at Urmia Lake and responding to climate change. They are the same thing. They are two sides of the same coin. And if we tackle them together, we have these enormous opportunities that we can access and unlock. And so that's the work of the Lancet countdown over the next 15 years. The only thing I would end with is we need help. We have experts from 16 different countries. We have over 400 people working in some way or another on our research collaboration. But we need more help from students, from professors, from experts, and that's why we're here in Iran today, to try and bring in and build new partnerships to take this forward and hopefully demonstrate that these benefits are real and try and transition towards some real action. So thank you.
All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Meisam Tabatabaie. I'm representing the Vice Presidency for Science and Technology of Iran. And I would like to thank so much the organizing committee for having us today here. And what we have been doing in the Vice Presidency for Science and Technology over the last few years, we have been trying so hard to show everybody that the problem is an integrated, complicated problem. And that I would like to cite Albert Einstein saying that if you want to solve a problem, you have to get rid of the mentality of the time that you created that problem. So we have to get rid of this mentality that we have too much oil, we have too much gas, and we have too much of everything that we don't have really. And what we don't really have is time. And time is really running out. And as Hugh mentioned, I mean, very scary. The scenario is scary, but it's true. And what I want to interconnect what Hugh mentioned and what Nick mentioned. So we have the opportunity, we have the money, we have the technology. So we just need to build, we just need the mentality, we need to hold hands together, we have to get together, we have to just get it started today. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter where, but just get it started today. And what I would like to stress is, you just get it started in yourself. It doesn't matter what the government of Iran or the international community going to do. As long as something happens here, even, for example, we have an audience of 100 here. So we have 100 people that turned in favor of climate change. I mean, in favor of stopping climate change, in favor of saving Urmia Lake, in favor of saving hundreds of lakes drying out, in favor of hundreds of species going extinct every hour, every minute, every second. So I would like to just boost their spirits. I would like to have motivation, encouragement, energy, just flowing out of everybody's soul, everybody's mind, and just spread the news, spread that there is danger around us. There are our children around us, and they are going to see those tragic days. So we can put an end to this together, and I hope this is going to work out. Otherwise, things would be so catastrophic. And I'm sure that humanity will wake up, jump into attention, holding hands, and we'll do something together. Just my last point, every day in this country, 16 million liters of petrol, 16 million liters of diesel being burned every day, every single day, and that equals the whole fuel consumption in the EU zone. So we Iranians are not really thinking. And the government is not thinking, and the Minister of Oil and Energy, they're not thinking straight either. But if demand is there, if we demand, the humans, the people, the nationals, so things are going to change. And thank you so much again.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicola Surian from Padova, the University of Padova, Italy. So I'm a frugal geomorphologist, and this morning I talked briefly what is my view about what could happen in the Urmia catchment about rivers. That's probably just a little part of the whole story about what's happening in this catchment. So I know very little about it, so I never studied in detail. So I would like to make the more general comments of what I understood reading a little bit of the report, of the papers about over the last years about these lakes and this catchment, and also about the restoration project which is going on. So my impression is this seems to be a very good opportunity to probably, I would be optimistic to try to solve the problem. I'm optimistic because I think the reaction that the scientific community and the government had to this problem was very, I would consider, quite fast. So, and that's a good point. I mean, in other cases, I think the reaction in terms of time was not so quick, like in this case. So that's a good starting point. But the second point I would like to stress is that I think this could be a good opportunity to, I agree what the last who talked just before me said, of course we could not lose time. There is something to do just starting from now, and but I think a key concept that could be used is that of adaptive management. That means I think we should not just go straight with ideas of what deciding exactly what we want to do, and adaptive management means okay, let's start with some ideas to try to improve the situation in the Urmia Lake, but then in parallel I think it's needed to continue to do some research, monitoring, to see if the action that we are doing are going in the right direction. And these parallel efforts in studies, so means in doing research, monitoring, will help to drive the action in the right way. For example, that's the last thing I want to say, it's not clear to my mind from what I read and what I heard, how is the relevance of climate change or different human impact in this catchment. So also this point would be probably clarified if we go more ahead in investigating this point. So I don't think it's when there is a problem like this, it's not so important to decide that it's the climate change, 50%, or is other factors like the overuse of water resources, the main cause. I think it's more important to start to doing something in this case, because it will be too late if we wait 5 or 10 years, and then try to adapt or to improve our knowledge, and eventually also to adapt our action according to what we will learn in the next few years.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saeed Jahanbaksh from the Department of Climatology of Tabriz University. The result of many studies shows that there are two main effects in Urmia lakes. natural impacts and human impacts. Among these two main impacts, I believe that we are the biggest problem that is the culture. First of all, we have to learn how to adapt the problem and find the best way of the solution. We are so many for this project and many studies, but my belief is, unfortunately, we are spending the money and writing meaningless reports, and it cannot help us. I want to give my time to our fine guests, and because many of you attend my class and know my ideas, so my friends can give new ideas for you today. Thank you very much.
Right. I'm going to challenge our panel, and I'm going to challenge you, because you'll note that I did the very thing I criticise other people for. I didn't give you any answers. So we've seen the problem. You look at the satellised images of Lancet-Urmia, you can see the water disappearing in the last 8 years. That's not going to slow up. Any years to come, there will be virtually nothing left. It will be irrevocable. So I'm going to ask our panel now. I'm going to make you president with unlimited power. You can do anything you like. So what are you going to do starting tomorrow morning? What's the answer that you, as an individual, are going to start with tomorrow morning with unlimited power? And when we hear them, I'm going to ask each of you to come back, challenge whether you think they're right, and give us your own solution. So let me start from this end. What are you going to do? What are you going to do tomorrow to solve the problem of Lakeh? Unlimited, yes. Do you want you like unlimited? It's very important. But I suppose, in terms of the time scale, he's asking how long he's got the power for. I don't know how long Lancet-Urmia's got left, but I was really scared this morning. I mean, the shoreline is nowhere near where the shoreline was 8 years ago, and there are dead animals absolutely everywhere. So you haven't got long for your answer. The objective is to quite quickly get to the problem.
That's good. Thank you. I'm not really the secretary, but I think my main activity for this project is only writing and writing the story. So, yeah. Maybe the transfer my knowledge, transfer my experience. No.
You have to cover. For example,
We focus on the ordinary. Yes. It's so difficult, but I think the main reason is about the mismanagement for the overdose of the agricultural activities. Stop all of the activities for making holes, water, deep holes. After that, change the agriculture system and transfer to other area. Just I think.
So let me put that to the audience here. If you show me your hands, who lives? I know you all live here now. Do you all come from this area? Hands up if you come from around Tabriz. Yeah, sorry. How many come from near Lakeh? But you all live here now. We have a problem. You have 500,000 people working in agriculture whose lives depend upon the water that they're using. So So if I come in as a president and I say, you're not using that water anymore for the sake of the lake, they can't feed their families. They're unemployed. So what's your answer? What are we going to do about this? Do any of you have a solution to this? How do we address the land use, the use of water in agriculture to save those who are
It should be necessary for introduce to other jobs, new jobs. For example, cold water or warm water systems or fish culture, and it's another, or closed systems for agriculture is other. So
please, yeah.
I'm from a city, a little city named Mianda. It's near the south of the Urmia Lake. And the solution that you say that people should change their works, it means a lot of education and a lot of government's money. It's not possible. But for agricultural people to change just to producing fish or work in industrial works. But a better solution maybe this is that we can change and manage the species that people agriculturally use. For example, I'm a biologist. Because of that, I have a specific detail on this subject. Watermelon agriculture in Iran was a very high rate, and the watermelon is not a sufficient species of plants for agriculture. It uses a lot of water and it gives us a little profit. But if the government and these organizations help the people, give the I don't want a different problem. Yeah, give the plants and prepare the needs for them. They can change to other species of plants that need a little of water. For example, we have a type of agriculture that it depends only on the rainwater. It doesn't need any. You said that we need to short water, pressure water, agriculture. These need fundamental instructions. But by changing biotechnological breeds, for example, US have a lot of agriculturally, biotechnological changed species of plants which use very little of water. If we plant these species, if U.S. government and these organizations prepare these plants in here, we can change the whole structure of agriculture here. I think this approach will be better than changing work.
Well, let's hear what other people have to say. I find that appealing as a non-expert because of the speed with which it can be implemented. Yes. It requires complex engineering infrastructure. It requires, I guess, some policy change and some education about what sort of crops can be planted, which give you a high cash return for limited water use. And I guess there are probably experts in this audience who work in agriculture. I see this university is very strong on agriculture, so there are probably some experts here who know what those parts are. Sorry, listen.
A very interesting point to raise. So actually, Urmia and Tabriz, in this area, the people used to grow grapes, and there are, I think, tens of varieties of grapes being produced here. And each region was famous for grapes, and grapes is known for consuming very little water. So what happened during the last few decades is tragic. It's very sad. People moved from grapes agriculture, cultivation, toward sugar-free, toward apple, watermelon. Commodities that consume too much water to rain. That was a big mistake. And for example, one solution to address your question is that we could be going back to our grapes, but the governor, the province authorities should be helping, and that's very economically feasible. We don't need any money, any charity at all. For example, if people move back to grapes, agriculture, and those the ancestors used to do, our ancestors did the right thing. Our ancestors, yes, did the right thing. Our ancestors in Isfahan did the right thing. But we are not good kids, actually, because we are going back on everything they planted and everything they built. So we got to go back to 3 decades ago when we got it started, and very, very much wrong. We have to go back to grapes and other commodities of low water consumption. But because to make it work, we need industries, food industries using grapes to produce added value products. For example, we could be producing grape juice, we could be producing fruits, we could be producing jams, different types, and we could be scanning. We have to stop looking nationally. Thinking nationally. We got to think internationally. So, for example, we should be scanning the markets in the world, everywhere, using any product related to grapes, and then develop the industry meeting, that country's needs. Different types. We can produce hundreds of types of products using grapes. And we could be just producing some, if they are not allowed here for export purposes, and that's okay. This is money, this is business, and different clients. So this is one solution in terms of agriculture. And I'm not very much in favor of Feridoon's proposition, because one of the problems caused the Lancet-Urmia to be dying Lancet-Urmia today is aquaculture. So thank you so much. Aquaculture, for example, we have many aquaculture facilities in Urmia developed during the last 2 decades. They are excluding underground water for producing crops. This region is not suitable for producing crops. And let me point out something. We don't need to produce everything. For example, in this country, 1 kilogram of cucumber, you know the name? How much is it, 1 kilogram of cucumber? 2,000 tomatoes. Can you let me know how many liters of diesel burned in greenhouses to produce 1 kilogram of cucumber? Can you guess that? 5 liters. 5 liters of diesel burned to produce 1 kilogram of cucumber. And how much is the diesel, Iranian diesel, FOB? 1,500 toman. We sell our diesel to other countries, 1,500 toman. But we subsidize it irrationally, crazily, getting it down to 250. That's why 5 liter makes around 1,000, 1,200. And that's why it has very little margin of profit for the greenhouse owners. But that's a mistake. If cucumber is not economically feasible, technically feasible, don't produce cucumber, just import it and sell the diesel. So this is just, you don't need to ask me. You just ask a 2-year-old. We just start talking and you say the same.
Okay, I think that's very, very interesting indeed. I'm learning a great deal. Yeah, please.
The most important thing for selection of agriculture is the strategic produce. Because if you have a strategic produce, I'm agree with Meisam speaking, because if you selected very important strategic specific produce, you can have many industries related to the main produce. The strategy.
So I'm going to ask you a question because I don't know anything about Iranian politics. I just know that British politics doesn't work very well at all. What's the possibility of transferring the substitute fuel to food? So wouldn't the logical thing work in logical politics to say we'll subsidise the production of grapes as opposed to watermelons or cucumbers in this area? It will save Lancet-Urmia. It will give wealth to the local farmers.
That's a possibility. Yeah, so for example, I don't know if there is anybody from the province authority here, but there's a solution, for example, what you mentioned. You could be subsidizing, for example, say, okay, if somebody is growing cucumber here, there is no subsidy. Or if somebody is growing, and this is a very good strategy. If you're going to grow apples here, that's not the place to grow apples. But if you're going to grow grapes, they're going to subsidize your field, they're going to subsidize your water, and that's how it should work. It's everywhere in the world, I'm telling you. The price of diesel shouldn't be the same here, there. Every province should has different fuel prices, as it is in the United States. For example, the East Coast and South Coast in the state, different prices. 2 towns, 2 states next to each other, different prices. So we should start this, I think, and it's never too late. Yeah.
Are there any others on the panel who would like to pick this up before we go back to the audience? Okay, I saw a hand here somewhere. Yeah, okay. I'm sorry to keep you waiting, but let's hear what you have to say. Maybe you'll give us the answer.
Feridoon. Thank you. Feridoon. Feridoon.
Sorry. I would like to go back to your first question. If you suppose that I'm in charge, I'm going to rethink of my governing, and I'm going to involve everyone. For example, if I'm addressing, and first of all, I'm going to address macro level problems. For example, agriculture, or climate change, something like that. And I'm going to hold meetings like this in a way that one of the panel members said, adaptive solutions, and rethinking my governing plans, and again adapting new ones and involving everyone. For example, agriculturists have votes, and I'm gonna share my power. I'm not gonna hold it in my hand like just one person in charge. Thank you.
I think that's absolutely tremendous, for 2 reasons. Firstly, I alluded to it earlier on, there is this theory which you probably heard a great deal of, called the wisdom of crowds, that when you ask large numbers of people to reach a sensible conclusion, they reach much better conclusions than a small group of people. Secondly, interestingly, they reach much better conclusions when they're not made up of experts. All experts tend to think the same and reinforce each other's views. So the best decisions seem to come from crowdsourcing, where you involve people that are not experts at all. So this is now done in managing large-scale building projects to determine when the finishing date will be. Ask the project engineer, they'll tell you one date. Ask the cleaners, they'll tell you the real date. So I think it's an excellent. The second reason I like it is because it's possible to do it. So the challenge to you in the audience is, why don't you? I understand there are 12,000 students in this university. There are quite a lot of you here that are clearly passionate and interested. You've got a huge amount of expertise from political people such as those on the panel who will support you. I'm sure your university faculty will do the same. And you have the information to be able to take out. So there's a suggestion, a practical suggestion today. What about your university, you, as students, starting to lead a solution-finding process, a cross-stakeholder process of engagement? I think that I'm excited by that work. Does anyone else on the panel have a view on this? Please.
I'm just thinking to something. Well, the main point is want to start. I think it's clear to everybody that the situation is very dramatic, that we can lose much time. I mean, if the changes will continue with the same rate that we saw in the last 20 years, probably we'll be the end of the lake, I would say, in 10 or 20 years, or very soon. So that was the starting point of my So the solution, I think, should be more very strong at the very beginning. So the action we want to use. So going back to what I heard today, and also read on some reports about all the money that are supposed to be put in this restoration project. I'm thinking, why not starting with a very, in the next few years, for example, I would say, do we have enough money to stop agriculture and, let's say, try to give back a lot of the flow to the lake, and in the meantime, of course, with the budget that is allocated for the restoration project, of course, to support the people that are working in agriculture, and also start to think about new type of cultivation or practice. So that's my point. I think I would like to suggest a more strong solution for the very beginning, and then see if there is an impact on the system, on the lake, and see if really react in a very short time.
Okay, we have another comment from the front. So far we've got two suggestions for action. We're going to talk about taxation, moving money to support low water forms of agriculture, and we're going to try and do that quickly with your support. Connecting to Meisam, I'm going to volunteer him here to be the person at the government level to talk to you about that. There you are. I can walk away tomorrow, so it's easy for me to do that. We're going to have some panels, some involvement with stakeholders, industry, agriculture, and local people, exporting the knowledge here to make things happen. We're going to have a strong response. We're going to monitor the responses so we can prove whether things work. And we have another suggestion from the front.
Thank you very much. I'm Jahanbaksh from Tabriz Medical Science University. A lot of subjects was discussed, and most of them are correct. But I think the most important subject that affects the Lancet-Urmia is the mismanagement due to political decision. And the climate change also is important, but it should have same effect on the Turkey, on the other neighbor countries. So I think the mismanagement in our country is the most important reason of this problem. But two subjects was forgotten to speak about that. That's one of them is the population growth. In the last 2 decades, more than about 30 million people was added to Iran population. We need water, agriculture, work, job, industry for the population. We should stop the population growth. Actually, Iran cannot accept more population, more than this condition. So we should not forget that and should not make subject political. And another subject is the lifestyle. The lifestyle of people has changed. We should go back to life like our ancestors with the use of less water and so on. So this subject is very important in my opinion.
Okay, so I think that raises some broader issues which we should include, and that I'll ask the panelists to discuss, and others in the audience. There's another question at the back if we want to get the microphone back there. So the first, I think you're evidently right. This is non-sustainable with 30 million more people here, another 500 million added to the population of the world in the last 5 years, and we're adding another billion to the population of the world every 12 years. It's not sustainable anyway. It's certainly not sustainable to the rates of resource use that we currently engage in. So I guess the Lancet-Urmia issue is a lens through which we can see the problems of the rest of the world. And that's an advantage, because if we get it right there, then it sets an example for the rest of the world as well. So I'm going to throw that out there as a thought. I'm also going to raise the issue of how much should this be just Iran's problem? Should it not be that we should engage the rest of the world in working with you so they can learn from you about the solutions, but also engage in finding solutions? So how much should this be a local problem for you, as we've raised it so far, or for how much of it should actually be something that the whole international community should be engaging in. We'll come back to our panel in a second.
Can I make a statement, please?
Please.
Thanks very much for all of the comments and suggestions by you and our audiences. That's very good. I think here should be a goal for the meeting, for the panel. I mean, we just came straightforward from the climate change to agriculture. And probably none of us are experts in agricultural section or agricultural area. Some of us are experts in medical sciences, some of us are biologists, some of us are climatologists, environmentalists, and other geographers. So probably the main question is missing here. First of all, I just mentioned something. I talked to one of the responsible organizations of the East Azerbaijan province, a meteorological organization of East Azerbaijan province, and I asked him if we had a shortage of rainfall or precipitation this year. He said no. We have 75% increase in rainfall and precipitation in this catchment, in this drainage basin. That's the first one. Also, I myself have carried out a very comprehensive research, quantitative modeling of the precipitation trends in Urmia Lake Basin during the last 30 or 40 years, something like that. And I found that there is no drought. There is not any dryness of the lake. Professor Lakeh, a geologist, has taken course from the Urmia Lake bed, and she has studied it for the last 20,000 years. She's a geologist, but she has done radiocarbon dating, and she found that there is no drought in this area. There is no drought in this basin. So that's one thing. And the second thing is that if there is a drought all over the world, and the mean or annual precipitation is reducing day by day and year by year, but why the one lake very, very close to us, in the same latitude, in the same height, in the same valley, in the same mountainous area, and it has depths of 70 meters, very, very close to Urmia Lake. I think there it's probably only, let me say, 200 kilometers away from the Urmia Lake. Nothing has happened, and also the level of water has increased during the last 5 or 6 years. I think, Hugh, these suggestions and comments are very, very valuable, but something comes to my mind that with Western point of view, are we going to solve the Eastern problem? Is this a realistic problem for us or not? I mean, yes, all of the comments and suggestions are very valuable, very worthwhile, and very good indeed, but the problem is in other areas. Dr. Sami said that we have mismanagement, cultural problems, we have lifestyles and things like that. So are we going to really discuss about the climate change, and are we going to prove that there is a climate change in this area? Climate change is a global issue. And in terms of climatology, if there is a climate change, it should affect even the temperate climates, the temperate areas. For example, in Europe, are we going to see any reduction in precipitation in those areas or not? Are we going to experience the same reduction of the rainfall or precipitation of water resources at the same latitudes? I recognize the map that you're showing in your speech down there. And yeah, there are some countries around the African continent and some countries around the Mid-Asian continent, and they are lacking water, they are facing with the drought and things like that. But is this true for all of the world? No, it is not. Our experiences as a climatologist, for example, Professor Jahanbaksh is a climatologist, and also other climatologists all around the world, show that at least during the last 5 or 6 years, we didn't have any drought, we didn't have any reduction in precipitation. But what happened to the lake? The lake has started to shrink, I think, since 7 or 8 years ago. And during the, let me say, 80s, okay, it was full of water, bank full of water, and we had plenty of water. Even sometimes it was just going toward the the surrounding areas, to the roads and things like that. So, I mean, these are very good, but I think talking about the agriculture, talking about the management, the decision makers in this country are not here. They're somewhere else. The decision makers are not us, none of us. You are experts. Probably I am expert, and other people in here, they are experts. But the decision makers in a third world country like Iran are different. They are in different locations, they are in different place, and they are different from us. What we see, they don't see. What they see, we can probably imagine. So, sorry for too much talking. I think we have to just find the track and then talk about the solutions. Sorry for talking too much.
I think we're probably saying the same thing. I should pick up very briefly on what we're saying. So obviously there's a difference between climate and weather. Climate change globally produces changes in weather patterns. So one area becomes wetter and another becomes drier. So what happens here is not going to be the same as sub-Saharan or in Great Britain. So regional changes in extreme weather events and weather patterns will differ. Global precipitation generally will rise with climate change. Some areas will become drier. My understanding is the same as yours, that the impact currently on water level in the lake is largely not driven by the climate change. That is the case. And if that's true, then I suppose the question we're trying to discuss here is what the solution to that is. Because you haven't got very long, or you don't have a problem that you can address. So I suppose that's the question. Are they local solutions or are they international? I see there's been going up quite towards the back. Oh, Nicola as well. Okay, so perhaps we should ask you first, since you've been waiting for a long time. Very cool.
My main interest is the future. I would like to say think about the future. The problem about it we have in other people is that we must just think about agriculture.
یه برگ واسه شارژ کردن این طرف هست یه دور اونجا هست میخواستم دستم بگم باشه